What's good, LL Nation? Ready to get to it, man. As always, we're featured, brought to you by Nora Whiskey. NoraWhiskey.com is the premium American whiskey at NoraWhiskey.com. And if you're going to drink, make sure that you drink responsibly. Thanks for everybody for joining us today. Today, we want to talk about, a little bit of update on spring practice. I was down in South Bend this weekend. And then we're going to talk about the offense. Chansi Stuckey, we'll hear from him. We'll hear from, man, I was about to call him Sonny Styles, dude. Y'all
Styles.
Up from enough. Lorenzo Styles Jr. And then we're going to have special guests. Jay Washington, actor and comedian, is going to join the show at about 4:45. We're going to have fun with that. So we'll get to some of your questions and comments. I'm sure people still have. Thank you so much for you guys supporting the Carnell Tate Part 2 interview. It's done fantastic numbers on YouTube and on Twitter. We're up to over almost 800 views just on the Twitter page. So it's fantastic. We appreciate you guys. We thank you for making us the success we've been up to this point. So I was up in South Bend on Saturday, bro. And I'll say this. The attention to detail from these coaches is amazing. It's amazing. Like, told you before, I can be focused on something else going on in practice, and I can still hear Harry.
Yeah.
I can hear him. It's like he's on was that Uncle Richard Jr.? With Kevin Hart, like I can still hear him. And then I'm watching practice Saturday, and they go to a session where they're working combo coverage and zone coverage against the bunt zone and man-to-man coverage against motion into bunch coverages and the screen game. Dude, they throw a screen to Jaden Thomas and Chansi Stuckey. It gets 8 yards. I mean, it's a good play. It's a good play. And from my vantage point, I'm like, okay, good play, 8 yards. And Chansi Stuckey just jumped. Man, he runs up to Braden Lindsay, and he's in his face. And he's like on top of him about, you need to stay on your block. If you stay on your block, that's a touchdown. And I'm like, yo, that's what's up. They are really, as a coaching staff, stuck on fundamentals and the little things. And those little things lead to, because to me, I'm like, yo, that's a good play. It's 8 yards. To him, that's like a missed opportunity. Like, you're not getting that opportunity the rest of the game to be able to break one.
Right.
Quick screen. And because you wouldn't do your job, you just blew the opportunity.
That's what you want to see. You want to see guys that expect more from their players, especially as a position coach, because you don't have the influence of the play call, but you have the influence of how the play can be executed.
Mm-hmm.
And for a guy like that to want more than just the what we say is got the minimal out of the play, got the least out of the play. So he sees where it could have went, which is something that you would get in film, but to get that on the field in real time is something that you get from an ex-player more so than a coach that wasn't at that level. So it's good to see that translate, and hopefully, the guys appreciate stuff like that. Carnell Tate talked about, what can you do to help me get to the next level on the field? That's a prime example right there. Just the expectation that you got to give that pro level effort.
And like you said, man, that's just something that you would expect to get from. Is that the type of coaching that you like? This is how I was, bro. Most of the coaches, other than my father in Little League, were disciplinarians that would get in your face. And my baseball coach, my varsity baseball coach, Jim Brown, rest in peace, got on me because, he bumped me up to varsity as a freshman. And I'll never forget, the junior year, I became like a captain. And he screamed at me the first practice, right? I'll never forget. And he had his nickname for me. He had a nickname for me that my mom didn't like. I didn't care, because he used to call me Blackie. Like, hey, Blackie. Because I was like, I think I've shaded down. When I was like younger and always played.
Damn, he ain't shaded down, nigga.
Because I think when I was younger and I always played like in the summertime, I always stayed in the sun, I probably was a couple of few shades darker than I am right now.
Nah, that's a compliment, man.
No, real talk. And so I know he didn't mean anything by it. And he wasn't trying to be disrespectful. But I never forget, he screamed at me like one of the first few practices we had, getting ready for the season. And the next day, I went to him in his office. And I said, yo, man, you don't have to scream at me like that to get me to do what you want me to do. And he explained, like, I got to get on you in front of everybody else so they'll know that I'm fair. And I said, okay, I understand that. I said, but you got one more time to do it. It was a real conversation. I said, you got one more time to do it for the rest of this season. So you pick and choose when you want to do it. Because after that, we're not doing that. And that's the type of player I was. Like, once you told me what you wanted, cool. You didn't have to tell me that. I might make another mistake, but I'm not making that mistake again.
Right.
And so I was cool with having that in-your-face thing and teaching me, but not to the extent where you just about to go over the top. For you, as a quarterback, if somebody's watching practice, how did you like to be critiqued? Was that a certain style, or did you care whether or not it was any style?
Well, I just would always try to want it to be framed around, is it getting me better, or are you just yelling?
Yeah.
To be yelling, So you definitely, it's different for every player. And, there's also a respect factor that comes in. Every person is different on what they see as, right and wrong. For me, I didn't mind the hard coaching. I just wanted it to be about what it is. Don't make it about something else. Just make it about what it is, and we can talk about it. Or just move on from it, But what I didn't like was the dwelling on and on and on. Just like anybody, you keep talking about it over and over again, or referring to it as if that's the total sum of things. I think that can get annoying as a player. But I've seen all types of levels of what a guy can take from a coach, and it's good to have a nice mix on the team, honestly. You can't have all guys that don't say nothing. You can't have all guys that react. I think there's a level of a number of guys you can have do it as opposed to what's healthy for the team and not healthy for the team. Because I do think that that frame of thinking, the whole like, yeah, if I treat you this way, everybody else will. Yeah, I mean, that makes sense, in the long run. But nowadays, everybody's kind of thinking on their own accord when it comes to being a part of a team. They're seeing their own individuality more, I think, in sports, especially in college sports. So, you got to talk to people the right way. And I think that's why it's different in the pros and in college, because you can't talk to people any type of way in the pros. But it definitely, with the money that's flowing in college football now, it'll probably be the same thing. It's just a little crazier.
Man, and I go back and I think about it. Like I said, I got bumped up when I was a freshman. So I mean, when you just get into a team, like you're so focused on not making mistakes anyway, and I wasn't really worried about the coaches as much as, because look, just to, Jackie Robinson West they won a Little League World Series out of Chicago like 6 years ago. It was a big story. That is the feeder program into the high school I went to, Simeon High School, and like 4 or 5 other high schools for baseball. So, my high school was a pretty good baseball program. And leading into my freshman year, there was a guy that was a projected first-round pick, right, on the squad as a senior. And the next year, there were 2 projected draft picks early on in the major league draft. So I'm playing with guys. So scouts are at the games,
Right.
And I'm a freshman. So I already had enough. Like, I was worried about being respected by these dudes that are being looked at by scouts. Like, it didn't matter. Like, that was pressure enough. It didn't even matter what the coaches were saying. And so for me, the pressure of performing for the guys next to you would drive me more always than anything the coach could say.
I think the respect of your teammates is, and particularly I feel the same way. I think when I was climbing up the ladder, it was the respect of the guys I was playing with at the time, in my unit or during my reps. That were I felt
about the national championship game, right?
Right, just the guys I was growing like in my class and who I was working with. I wanted to respect those guys because that's what really matters as a player when you go out there, knowing those guys have your back, especially as a quarterback. And for me, I knew if I got that, then I knew it would trickle to the coaches because it's just no possibility for you to play for your coaches first and foremost because it just won't never work out. They got a different motivation than you do, like your teammates, so you more focused on if the guys around me think I can play, I think that'll take any guy further in their career at school.
Yeah, so when we think about that, it goes to the point that I've been talking about, that when I watch practice, the intensity, the teaching, and the competition that's going on is at an all-time level. I called you after I left practice, and I was like, yo, the offense has been dominating to this point, but the defense really stood up on Saturday in what we were allowed to see. And you can see that there was a point being made in that particular practice to be more physical, to meet the challenge, right? Harry Heastand and that offensive line have established what Marcus Freeman wants this team to be about. Like, they've done a great job early in camp establishing, we're gonna line up and we're gonna whoop y'all. We're gonna whoop y'all. Hey,
that's just their personality all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you can match that intensity, we really would be good for a long time.
Yeah. And now the defense seems like, but the defense was the team that was doing all the chirping.
Well, we talked about that though. Them secondaries and them guys that weigh under 200 pounds. We don't really listen to them that much because if you weighing under 205, it's just you ain't gotta back up what's happening in the every play action. Hopefully, so for those guys that aren't talking that are over 205. That's what you got to be worried about because if they're not talking the same way, then it's gonna be a long day. It's gonna be a long day. So, but it is important though that it is good to hear people at least getting in that mode and seeing the potential of what we can be. Obviously, we don't have to look like that in the middle of April. It's a long time between now and that first game, but I do think that even missed in the air that we can be that potentially that good. We know what the example looks like because it ain't that many months that passed since we seen what a real example looks like. But I think if we're somewhere in between there, I think we'll definitely have another chance of getting to the national championship.
attention to detail. You talked about this, and you talked about one of our earlier clips back in April. I said, man, what is the benefit? Who does it benefit the most for spring ball? And you were adamant, like, yo, quarterbacks. Like, quarterbacks are the ones that can really make a jump, in spring ball. And it's the attention to detail that I see from all of these coaches and everything they're talking about. I'm watching drills, like fundamental drills, and I hear multiple coaches, don't cheat the drill. Don't cheat the drill. And it's like that has value, right? Because it's really setting the foundation for everything you want to do on top of those fundamental things. And for quarterbacks, when it comes to footwork, when it comes to using your eyes, all that is key to completing that 3rd and 7 or 3rd and 8 in a clutch situation.
Yeah, being detailed at the quarterback position to make those throws is something that you have to really harp on when you're training, especially in doing individual drills during practice, because those are the reps that you can't get lazy on because, in tight situations, you got to be able to execute on that level. If this is if you want to be, the number 1 pick in the draft, stuff you got to be able to just be consistent on. It doesn't even have to be the strongest or best or whatever arm talent physical wise, but if you can be the most consistent on the moments that you have to be technically great, I think that's what you really want to harp on as a great player and a great coach to these guys, because that's what's going to keep you going outside of just being a good player. If you can make plays, that's one thing, but like Ian made a lot of great plays. But there was times where we needed plays in certain games that, you skipping the ball or you not getting it done, that you can look and say it was a technique thing. So those are, when you're talking about what makes a great player great, you need technical things and great moments that you just have to have as a muscle memory. You can't, because you have to look back at the film and you're like, oh, look at your feet right here. This is why you didn't get it done. And that's stuff that you have to be intentionally important for when you're practicing just on your day-to-day.
On Saturday, the wide receivers and wide receiver coach Chansi Stuckey met with the media, and Chansi pretty much just updated us on the wide receiver position, and then we'll come back and talk about an injury that took place this weekend in that particular group.
A young group overall. It's like got some seniors and got some young guys, so it's trying to merge that into one. But I think the beauty of it is the guys are hungry to learn, hungry for the details, they're hungry to be great, and that's all you can really ask for in a group, that they want to learn, they don't feel like they know it all. And I think with this group, guys just want to learn ball, they know the details of the position, and that's been the best part of it.
See, learn ball, learn the details, learn the nuances of the position. Like, people just think you throw somebody that's talented at the quarterback position or somebody at the running back position that's just fast and quick, good feet, and all of a sudden they should just be able to go out there and do what they do on the college level. It's a reason why Beeman McCullough said, he tells his guys, yo, this is college football, man. This is big time college football. This ain't high school on Friday nights. It's a totally another level of football.
Yeah, I mean, you really want to be able to get something from it. I mean, you can't just be an average player, especially at these top 5 programs like Notre Dame, where you got to be thirsty for the craft of getting better. You can't just be a football player. Like I say to my high school kids all the time, we want guys that are football players, not guys that play football. So I think that's the biggest difference, is the commitment level to the craft of, okay, what can I do technically to get better, to get my skill better? Because when you get to a place like Notre Dame, everybody's pretty good. If you just rolling guys out there, everybody can make a play or has some physical trait or ability from a speed standpoint, or they can run routes really well. But when it comes to playing time, for instance, you want guys that are not making a mistake when we're, getting in the flow of drives, and guys that are finding the right things to do in the game plan. So those are little differences that get guys on the field at Notre Dame, which is something that increases your expectation level as a coach because now you're looking for is bigger than just making a spectacular play.
One thing that you just touched on that I would like to point out, and we've had discussions about this, bro, about how strong the Brotherhood is with former players. And we continue to see former players coming back to practice. It was Quentin Nelson last week. It was Zach Martin. And then old coaches, Tom Wise. Everybody's just coming back wanting to be a part of what's happening. Eventually, we're going to get you up there behind Tyler. Like, we need to see that. That's the next goal. We need to see you standing behind Tyler at the practice, supporting him and talking to him. But in seeing that, I'm noticing something, bro. Like, everything we've been hearing about national championship, it's one thing in a program to think you can win big games. And then it's another thing when you have players saying we will win. To me, that's like everybody walks out. Good teams walk out thinking they can win. My thought is at big time programs, I don't think recruits go to Alabama without knowing they're going to win. The expectation is I'm going to win a national championship before I leave it.
Yeah. Saban's telling you that. He said, you're going to win this, you're going to do this, you're going to do this.
Right.
At least.
Right.
At least. So, the confidence that kids get just from hearing Coach Saban say it in the recruiting call, then you don't see too many Alabama players going in interviews saying we're going to be the best defense in the country. Then it's like they're so great as a dynasty that they talking about, we focus on the next day.
Yeah.
That's mature stuff to say, even when you that good. But that just tells you their frame of reference and how they continually be that good is because they really do focus on the next moment, which is the difference in teams that are hot for a couple years like a Clemson and because of the talent level. And then over time, it kind of smooths itself out to where, they can't not be a ACC team that's in the mix. Alabama's found a way to not take that edge off because of the incremental focus on day-to-day, which I think Marcus Freeman will get closer to when he gets more of his guys in there from day one as opposed to transfers.
Thank you for the super chat. Josh Miller, we appreciate you tapping in. Been listening for months now. Love what you guys are doing. So it's time I threw some money at you. So keep up all you guys do and keep spending it differently. Thank you. We appreciate you. Josh Buffalo, he was tapped in earlier today. Ask Malik about the difference in swag from the 88 squad to what swag Freeman brings now. I know you and Brian said earlier, but wanted to see Malik's opinion. So this was the question. The comment earlier was Marcus Freeman finally brought swag to Notre Dame. And Brian's pushback was the Lou Holtz teams had swag. And my pushback, or not my addition to the comment was, or to the question was, if you ask Malik in the 15 squad, they will tell you that they were swagged out. Like, even though they didn't win a national championship, they will flat out tell you they had swag. So,
yeah, Jalen used to bring his own bag of swag, gear that you ain't even seen before. He used to bring that, put it right under the chair. He had his own collection of wristbands and stuff. We did the regular shirt under the jersey, let it hang out under. That's when the Zeke thing where you put the shirt up, and that's where all that started. The bag play hanging out. So college football during that time was definitely changing more towards, having the accessories pop. Now you're seeing a bunch of ridiculous stuff, but when we was coming up, the towel in the bag, you see all the guys with the big old face, the black paint and and all of the turf sleeves, like that stuff was going on when we, so the swag, it all depends too on the team's identity. I think we just all felt like we were just the best at our positions in the country. I felt like I was the best quarterback. Jalen felt like he was the best linebacker. I mean, everybody felt like they was the best individually, and so as collective, it was like, man, it's the league of the best. We just out here making each other better.
Right.
And so the swag just came out of us when we played because it was more about us than it was about who we played.
And on top of that, I think things always stay the same in college football. When you talk about the makeup of teams, I think every team is going to have somebody that talks and chirps. I pointed out today that Ricky Waters. If you go watch Ricky Waters play in the 80s, Ricky Waters was talking every time he ran the ball. Like it didn't matter if he was running, blocking, special teams, he was chirping, right? You go to your squad, and you told me how much Kabari Russell chirped just all the time. Like the makeup of the team, you're going to have the quiet guys that just take care of business, like Carnell Tate said he wants to be. And then you're going to have guys like Jaden Mickey coming in as a freshman, just talking from day one because that's who they are. And I think I want anybody to be who they are. Like when you step on the field, be who you are. You just better be ready to back it up.
Yeah. I mean, I have no problem with it. Just stay consistent. I don't want you to do this now and then get on Instagram at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Giving me a good, sad apology letter. That don't add up. So I do think that whatever gets you going to get you in that right place in the frame of mind to go out there and ball out, I think that's the best thing you can do. So, like you said, some guys need it, and then other guys, don't need it but still perform at a high level.
Lucky Lefty Podcast is always featuring and brought to you by Nora Whiskey and NoraWhiskey.com. It's that premium American whiskey, NoraWhiskey.com. We also on Saturday heard from wide receiver Lorenzo Styles Jr., and he was discussing, just working with the quarterbacks and how they've helped him get better.
So since we came in, me, Tyler, and Jack, we were throwing every single day. So just watching him develop and then watching really all the quarterbacks develop, it's been a fun experience. And then really, I appreciate those guys just because they really helped my growth so much.
So he's talking about just working with from the time he came in, working with Tyler, working with Jack. They helped his development. In that interview, he also talked about the jump he took halfway through the season that was all about his confidence. Like as an early enrollee, he learned the game, he learned the position, and then he started to gain his confidence. And once he gained his confidence, he was able to take that next step and start making an impact on the field. He also shared how that drop in the Fiesta Bowl has stuck with him, bro. Like he's still thinking about it till this day, and it's actually motivating him to become a better player.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it's so early in his career where it's only a few plays he can even remember. So with that being one of the last tastes, I know is motivating him to get out there and extend, the good plays that is yet to come.
Yeah.
I do think it is good that he had mentioned he's been working with Tyler and working with Jack. So we're hoping to see that kind of connection be there when they go into that first game. I'm expecting them to be at least on the same page on early on or throughout the game, see some kind of connection. So I wish it was more than I feel like probably just Lorenzo has gotten some work with Tyler Buckner. I know they're roommates, so that's kind of a given, but
yeah,
I would hope to hear that from some more guys too, just because you want to be a little bit good with everybody, just because you're going to be throwing to a lot of different people this year.
And then the youngsters that we wanted to point out on defense, once again, Jason Onye, Tyson Ford working together in the interior. Tyson Ford is a big freshman, bro. Like when you see a freshman that looks big and he really hasn't been able to hit the weight room and hit training table for a year, you say to yourself, like, okay, he's going to be a grown man.
That's right.
Next year. And that's what they have up the middle with those two young guys. And then shout out to Xavier Watts, who had an incredible day of practice, coming up, running the lanes, making sure tackles, and bringing the wood. Like both him and Ramon Henderson talked about how they both benefited. The same thing you wanted for Tyler Buckner. The opportunity to play, the opportunity to get better, and you come back the next year, and now your confidence is at an all-time high.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's good to see Xavier Watts out there.
And that's just said he might switch to wide receiver. It's good to see they're sticking with him at one position.
Yeah, you want to see somebody really get a good feel for at least one before you start throwing them out there for both. I think even when USC had Adoree, I mean, he was strictly defense, and then they start throwing in some plays. I mean, he only had this. He had this. In fact, he had the same play on offense that he ran, and he only ran this play when he got in. So it's crazy they scored on it as much as they did when they played us because we knew what was going to happen. As soon as he got in the game, they'll throw him a bubble and he'll run a touchdown. He gets in the game, throw a bubble, he runs a 60-yard touchdown. Couldn't believe it. But that's the type of two-way you would want for him. But if he could be great at one, let's go with it.
Absolutely, man. Lefty Podcast. As always, we spin it different. We're brought to you by Honora Whiskey and featuring Honora Whiskey, HonoraWhiskey.com. It's that premium American whiskey, HonoraWhiskey.com. And if you're going to drink, make sure that you drink responsibly. Special guest to the show on today. We want to welcome in our guy, Jay Washington, actor, comedian. You can follow him at Mr. Jay Washington on social media. Jay, welcome to the Lucky Lefty Podcast. How you doing, my bro?
Hey, bro, I'm good, man. Appreciate you, Malik. What up, though? Man, glad,
man.
You know, just slow motion, man, out here just in these streets. Man, hey, man, I appreciate y'all having me, man.
Hey, I'm so happy to see you as successful as you've been. As I said before, stand-up comedian, actor, pro wrestler. You find them everywhere, man. I looked at the IMDb. I was like, wait a minute, I know dude has been in all of these movies. I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah, man. It's crazy. I actually looked at my IMDb a couple of days ago because I was actually trying to see if something got updated. But I was just looking and I was like, man, I've been blessed to do a lot in a short time. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's it's crazy because like sometimes I don't stop and see everything I've done. And it doesn't feel like I'm doing enough, but I looked and I was like, "Wait a minute! I did all this." I was like, "Okay, so it's a good thing."
When things are rolling for you, is it something that it's like you continuing yourself, or is it like when you're hot, things are just hitting the line the whole time?
Man, I think it's a combination of both. To be quite honest with you, you'll have those moments where everything is just firing on all cylinders. Everything is just moving, and you just go, and then at one point you might have a couple of days or a week with nothing, and you just sitting there looking around like, what happened? But it then all of a sudden it ramps back up. So it's not really that when you're hot in this situation. It's just that everything just keeps happening when it's just ebbs and flows and peaks and valleys and stuff like that. And so it's a matter of understanding that, you know, and knowing what comes with it and knowing that, okay, cool, you got these moments, ride them, appreciate them, celebrate them, because that's something I've had to learn how to do as far as celebrating wins, and know that, yeah, you might slow down for a second, but as long as you keep your head in the game and keep your focus straight, and for me personally, keep my faith where it needs to be, I'm going to continue to succeed and move forward.
So look, man, I took a recent trip out to LA. I don't know how y'all do it, man. Right? I went out on a Friday night, and shout out to my boy Sid Nolan. And I went to like 2 spots, and I felt like I was being wooed by like the evil spirits.
Man, listen, it's real.
Like, come, we will take care of you.
Yeah,
we'll give you all the desires of your hearts. And
you just have to give up a little bit of your soul,
right?
Just a little bit.
Right. And I was like, I got home and woke up the next morning, like, shook my head, like, oh, it was all a dream. But it's real. Yeah. Like, LA is a different place, man.
It's a different, especially like, you know, there's one LA people see. There's one LA where everybody sees so many different things. There's the other LA when you're involved in it. Then there's another LA on top of that. So, like, it's so wild. You know, we talk, it's the industry, but it's all industries in a sense. And it's just it's all centralized, it feels like here. And I tell everybody, like, man, I know if I'd have done some unscrupulous things, I'd probably be way further than I am in my career, but I'm good. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I don't need to, I'll grind this out and I'll, keep carrying this weight on my back and knowing what my talent is naturally and what God has for me naturally, instead of going the route that a lot of people do sometimes. And, some people say, oh, they don't go that route, but then you see the crowds in which they hang with and which they've associated themselves with, and you can't help but to think like, did you make the moves? And so, again, I'm not saying any names in particular, but it's just you see it so much, bro. You see it so much.
So we saw the Grammys last night, and I don't know if you saw the performance with Lenny Kravitz and her.
Hey, man, I was watching WrestleMania. I wasn't watching the Grammys.
Well, we're gonna get to that too.
I love WrestleMania.
In college football in general, the most talked about position is always the quarterback.
Absolutely.
Right? The quarterback always gets the captain of the cheerleading squad, right? In all the movies. And I'm watching that, and I'm saying to myself, if I was in a band, would I want to be the lead singer or the drummer? Because drummers always seem like they're legendary.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
Even though they don't get the attention when the music is popping. Like, how do you view that?
Look, Travis Barker is a prime example, bro.
Yeah.
Travis Barker is one of the best examples I could ever give you. That man was the drummer and is leaps and bounds above the rest of the band. There's something about that. The lead singer does get their pull, but it never fails where you hear all of these tales and tragic tales of the lead singer having a fall off moment. You know what I'm saying? And they falling off, and it's like, can they ever have a comeback tour? Or they age out. Look, Steven Tyler has sold his soul to the devil. That is the only reason he is still able to do. Steven Tyler is 936 years old and is still out here doing everything he does. You know what I'm saying? Mick Jagger as well. Those two men are the ages of Methuselah and Moses and are still performing to stadium packed. And they're rarities in the situation. Yeah. But when you look at band members, you always see that. So I think it just varies. It really is no telling what can happen when it happens.
What was that approach like when you say you was close to, maybe you could have took that road or maybe you could have went there? At what point of success were these conversations starting to come? Was it something that just was like a phone call, you was chilling, or was you in the middle of doing something big? Like, how do these kind of things come?
No, these things happen normally when you're just hanging out. Like, the LA party is a prime example of it. The Hollywood party, you get invited to a party, not the nightclub joints. Nah, not those. not those. Not those. It's talking about when you at somebody's crib in Santa Monica, Venice, in the hills, et cetera, et cetera. You have all of those things, and then next thing you know, the tray is brought out with the powder, and everybody's like, "You want to do this?" And I'm like, "Hey, bro, if I need a stimulant to stay awake, I'll go run to the gas station and get me a Monster real quick." Like, those type of things start to happen, and then you just see those conversations. And also, I'll be honest and open and admit, I have a feeling in my spirit sometimes, and I'm like, "Yo, this ain't for me. This is just not for me." And it can be a variety of situations. Like, people always say, when you get that call comes in so many different forms. It's that the word, that call, is so arbitrary because it can be anything. It can happen any way. You can be, at a show. And for me as a stand-up, I could do a show, come off stage, I didn't rock the stage. Next thing I know, hey, I want to introduce you to this person. Okay, cool. So you're talking to the person, and now you're having a conversation that may lead somewhere, and you're like, okay, let me get back to you on this. You know what I'm saying? Things like that.
How did success change for you then in that aspect? Once you was like, okay, was it worth what you thought it was before? Once you saw that's what success had to be in order to get there?
For me, it's a lot of a broader understanding of what success is, what success entails, what fame is, and what fame entails, because those are two different things. And in some cases, they're not mutually exclusive. There's some people who are just famous, but they're not successful. There's some people who are successful, they're not famous. And I had to learn that, because my bank account may not have an incredulous amount of zeros. My place may not be the biggest place. I might not have all these cars, et cetera, but I'm able to pay my bills. I'm able to take care of my babies, my kids when they need something from me. I'm able to do for myself. I'm able to work in a career that I've been blessed with the talent to work in and consistently work in. That is successful. And all I can do for me is continue to elevate that level of success.
What's the biggest rush? Executing the perfect move inside the square circle or killing a set on a Friday night?
Oh, I hate you for this question. I hate you for this. I don't even, you know what? I think it's more so the set because the move is one. I'm going to tell you something. In the ring, you can execute, do so much. Like people see me move around the ring. They're like, how does a dude his size do what he does, move around like he does? And so the pops I get from the crowd are one thing, but there's this pop when you come through the curtain that's always bigger than that no matter what.
Right.
But on stage, to take from me, I just had this happen this Saturday. When you get a crowd of 150, 200 people who've never heard of you, who don't know, the only thing they know about you is whatever credits you've given the host to introduce you with. And so their expectation is one thing, but now even though they have an expectation, you got to deliver on that. And when you deliver on that and you watching everybody's faces just balled over and laughed and everything, and you get off the stage and people just approaching you and unfortunately not paying attention to the next comic, that for me is the thing, because I've been at that point where when I'm at the Laugh Factory back home, I had a woman come to me after I got off the stage. I was in the lobby, and I'll never forget. She told me, she was like, "You really made my night. My son just recently passed away, and I didn't want to come out, and I didn't want to, do anything. And my sisters drugged me out, and everybody was okay, but there was something about you that changed every single way I was feeling, and I'm grateful for that." And in that moment, I've had that a couple times in different situations, but that let me know this is what I'm meant to do. I tell everybody, no matter if I'm 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, an hour on stage, my job is to take away any of your cares and worries and make you just laugh with me.
So talking about that, expectations, my expectations is I've watched the special that Gerard Carmichael just released. Halfway through, just kind of switched, and he jokingly said, half of the dudes just turned the channel, like just turned it off because of the direction it took. And I was like, you know what? Sadly, I was like, man, he may be correct. Like when he really told it, I was like, yo, he may be correct. The thing was, I wasn't shocked about what he shared.
Bro, I'm in a black comedians group, and a lot of us was like, ain't this water is wet news?
Exactly.
Like, you know what I'm saying? But it wasn't our business to put it out there on the street. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's that man's story to tell, that man's life and his road to tell the way he wanted to tell it, like he did in his special. But a lot of people were just like, and then even if you didn't know, I know a lot of people who were like, okay. But the fact that I'm going to keep it a buck with y'all. Us. A lot of times, black men, we hear somebody starting to talk that, and we're like, I don't want to hear it. And the unfortunate fact of the matter is, for a lot of people got to understand, look, the LGBT community, no matter how we're going to preface it or call it, they've been around longer than a lot of people. Look back in your history books, bro. Tell people, if you ever want to sit there and study it, go study ancient Greece. The Grecians were known for being out here reckless. Now, granted, some of your greatest philosophers are considered to be pedophiles. Hate to say it that way, but it's the truth. But when you hear of all the different lifestyles, it's nothing new. So we're in this day and age where, like, you got some people like, well, and I'm just like, to me, I guess because I've grown up, when you're from the city, you know what I'm saying, people all the time that's like this and live these different lifestyles, and you're just like, all right, do you? You know what I'm saying? It don't affect me. Do you?
Do you think there's a financial gain in using that as I'm not going to say as a trend of what's happening now?
Absolutely. It's a financial gain. Look, there's a financial gain in being a black man. Let me tell you something. After 2020, after the George Floyd protest, everybody needed to have a black somebody at the forefront at the helm.
But do you think that's a good thing for your career? Would you say, okay, that's something I got to get on right now? I need to be in front of all these things, or is it?
Nah, and I'm gonna tell you,
or I don't want to ride that type of thing.
No, I wouldn't say it's a good thing. But here's the thing: it's that you can take any moment. And again, I understand when we talk about the severity of situations that allow people to catapult forward. You have the Black Lives Matter protest where you had a lot of people wanted to have black people at the forefront of things. And you can take that moment, right? But then if you utilize it right, it doesn't have to be just about that with you. You can make it go forward to where you need it to go. You can take that following you garner from one thing, apply them to another. And it just isn't in those situations. It's always something. Like, look at social media, how these trends and challenges happen. You know, the right one, somebody pops off, becomes successful. Now they're doing other things. A prime example is Quinta Brunson, bro. Everybody got to remember her from Instagram. Ooh, he got money. That one little thing, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That one little thing put her on.
Yeah, Abbott's Elementary is great, by the way.
And Abbott Elementary is phenomenal. It's phenomenal. But it was that one little thing. You know what I'm saying? It was just working until it happened. And that, ooh, girl, he got money, popped off. Quinta got her agent and her peoples, and then she was able to pitch an idea she's been really wanting to work on. And Abbott Elementary is something she's wanted to work on. And Janelle James is a homie of mine who plays the principal.
The principal, yeah, she's crazy.
Bro, we've been talking about this so much times. I was like, I would not be shocked if Janelle nominated for an Emmy and a Golden Globe next year.
It's a huge cameo too, because I'm pretty sure they don't script nothing that she's talking about. She's going in there.
Some of it is like it's scripted, but the rest of them is like, if you trust the comic, like that's Janelle. Like they'd be like, yo, they be like, that was that character. Everybody's like, bro, you don't know Janelle.
Yeah, I feel like she's acting like herself. Like if she
Janelle
really was to be a principal real life.
Yeah, man. And so that's the thing, though. It's going back to it. It's like you can have those moments. You can have something happen. You know, you can have something that brings you to the forefront, that brings you to the dance. And once you're at the dance, you have to know how to go forward from the dance.
Yeah.
Can
you talk about generating that value? Okay, so your value when you're going into these different spaces and it's been accumulating for you. What did you find as the value that you took in these different spaces to do the things that you've been able to do so far?
It was just riding out what you're good at and elevating that and also enhancing that talent. One of the things I'm good at is something I've always been good at as a kid, and it's behind me. You see it on the wall. I'm a nerd, but I'm a nerd. I'm a nerd from the hood. And so the thing is, there are a lot of black nerds out here on the internet you see, and a lot of them have voices. I've been blessed with the opportunity to be able to use my voice more and grow a following and a fan base from that. So when people find out, oh, he a nerd, but he do stand-up, what? Then they finally do stand-up. Wait, he a wrestler? You know, all this. So I took my nerddom because I've always, like I said, I've always been a nerd. Mm-hmm. I took it and I was able to be me on camera. I didn't have to change up who I am and who I was at all. And so and also whenever I was just me though, I was bringing poignant facts. So I take that who I am, a bit of me, and elevate it, right? Again, now people come to see me do stand-up. Wait, this ain't the nerd I thought it was. Nah. Then people come see me do wrestling and they like, wait, whoa. So you giving them everything of you.
Lefty Podcast, special guest, Jay Washington. Joins my man, the original Lucky Lefty himself, Malik Zaire. I'm Shaun Davis at SD2 Mics. If you're just joining us, we're talking about living in LA, being in the business, and we just got through talking about Gerard Carmichael, his new special. And now I want to go to something that's very interesting because it is a branch off of what was the elephant in the room for like the past week after the Oscars. The event.
Just call it what it is, bro. The slap heard around the world. You can't even go around it. Just call it what it is.
So before you and I had a conversation, Jay, because I doubt very seriously, for those of you who don't know, when he says, you know, home, when I come back home from the crib, from the hood, he's wearing his hood right there on his head. Like, you don't have to guess where he's from. He's from the same place that I reside from.
You never got to guess.
So I don't have to ask you how it would have gone if he had walked up on the stage, because I know a suplex mixed in with a stunner.
Let me tell you something. Look, I understand it at that moment. Now, people always been asking me because as a comic, see, here's the thing I tell everybody. Number one, I get where Will Smith came from. But what people got to understand is it's not that joke that Chris Rock told. That man has been the butt of jokes for over 3 to 4 years at minimum nonstop. he is human. So Chris Rock's joke was the straw that broke the camel's back. I get it. And Chris Rock was just the one that caught it, because anybody probably would have caught it. Now, maybe when they got smacked, I mean, yeah, he understands I can slap a dude. He can't slap a woman because that'd be the end of it.
That'd be the end of it.
You know, but I've had people run up on stage on me before. So people ask that, like, what did you do? I will never forget. I was in Lawndale, California at a bar show. And there was a drunk white guy. He was heckling the whole night. And nobody really tried to deal with him. And he got to me, and I was doing one of my jokes. And I said, bro, don't do this. I have this 3-step warning. I said, hey, man, don't do this. You don't want to do that. That's step number 1. Kept going. Step number 2 is I tell him you can enjoy the show or be the show. If you decide to be the show, you're not going to like the show. So he kept going. Step 3, you say one more thing. I promise I'm going to talk about you in every letter of the alphabet from A to Z, and I will not stop. I promise to God I will not stop. So dude thought it was a game. I got to the letter N. So then he tried to walk up on stage, and they was going to stop. I said, no, let him walk up. So I guess he had his hand out like he was going to try to choke me. Here's the thing. I had the mic. I just happened to have my screwdriver here. I got the mic in one hand. I take my right hand, take him down, throw him on the ground, put him in a hammerlock on the ground with the mic still in my hand. People are like, oh my God, is this part of the show? I'm like, no, this is all improv right now. This is really happening. I said, this is all improv. I said, I'm going to let you know something I need to legally let you know on this microphone. I'm a professional wrestler by law. I need to tell you this. So I will basically
I can really do it to you for real.
I can really do this. And they were like, yo. And then some people was like, yo, because they realized how I was about to be. But I'm still cracking jokes while I got them. And so I know every comic isn't like that, right? I know every comic isn't equipped and mentally capable to handle a moment with somebody charging at you. But also, we got to realize this ain't the first. People keep going, oh, Will Smith is going to set an unnecessary precedent of people running up on comics. People been running up on comics for decades. For decades. This ain't nothing new. This just, you saw it at the Oscars. Like, this ain't nothing new. But like I said, Chris Rock was the one. We all have had those moments where we've been built up with stuff, whether it be personal life, professional life. Things have just manifested on you and just been building up and building up and building up. And somebody say something and you just snap out. And then you have to catch yourself and be like, yo, my bad. It's not you. It's everything. And that's what that is. That's why Will even apologized. Like, hey, man, I had this moment.
If you was Will, what are you doing? Are you going up there? Or you waiting after the show?
I'm probably this the Oscars, so I'm not gonna lie. I'm probably I already know this big black dude about to do something. So, or what you could have did, he could have went up to Chris. He didn't have to slap him.
I'm talking about you. What are you doing? He done cracked the last joke on you. You like, all right, man. I didn't had enough. The straw done broke. The camel's back. Where you at with it?
I'm yelling out the words. You might want to stop. With the serious face, you might want to chill, because I'm letting you know off jump. I'm there. I'm trying to give you the bit. Look, Will Smith from West Philadelphia.
On the end, right? You throw that show on the end.
I'm letting you know. Hey, bro. Hey, Joe. Going on, Joe. That's y'all already know the Chicago. Hey, Joe. Going on. That's your only warning you get. Hey, Joe, gone on. And if you don't, then then the rest is up to the gods, okay? Because I didn't give you the warning. Hey, Joe, gone on. Move on. I didn't give you that warning.
Yo, so a video went viral this weekend between a guy named Gabriel and a young gentleman named Adrian who came over. Gabriel was trying to defend something that supposedly took place with his girlfriend. So a lot of people blame Jada for pushing Will to go up on stage with the look she gave. So talk about the rules of protecting your girl.
Let me tell y'all something, since everybody want to act brand new with this. Everybody keep being like, well, Will Smith laughed at the joke. Any man that is in a relationship and his girl is getting clowned, if he laughs, he will look at his girl. His girl gonna give him that look. And there's not a dude on this planet whose whole mood ain't finna change. Because he know what that look means. There ain't a dude on this planet. Everybody's like, oh, well, he only did that because of Jada. Then you
gonna get it worse if you don't do something.
Absolutely. Like, you've never been in a real relationship.
Yeah, you ain't been
in a real. You don't know about, man. Man, let me tell you something. Everybody been there. You giggling, you he ha ha. You just having to look over. You like, hey, bro. Now you all of a sudden,
because you don't want to hear all of this when you go home.
You don't want all that. You don't want all that in your ear. So again, people are gonna stick up. Again, everybody like, oh, it's the Oscars. You have this decorum, but at the same time, there's one key crucial fact that everyone keeps omitting. Will Smith is human. Human emotion is a thing. And again, when you have somebody who has been the butt of jokes, who has caught all these things for years on end, yes, and he even said it's part of the profession, but at some point, you still get tired of it. And you just get human. And look, I really think one of my biggest problems with this whole situation has been this. Will Smith been squeaky clean for 30 plus years. Squeaky clean in the public eye, right?
Yeah.
That man had one emotional outburst, but because it's at the Oscars, you want to try to take everything? Nah, don't do that. I'm gonna say it like I said before. It's because that's a black dude having that outburst. That's what that is. And no one they don't want to openly admit it. Oh, it has nothing to do with race. This man been squeaky clean. And he told you this was emotion. Because again, that ain't just one time. That's the buildup of things. When that buildup of emotion happens, you get that moment. Now, people gonna ask, how's Chris Rock handling this? Chris Rock on tour right now doing his hour and ain't even talking about it. Because he's making money. And he's doing his own tour. Then he's finna go on tour with Kevin Hart. That tour, he'll probably talk about it. You know what I'm saying? But Chris living his life. Everybody going, how do you feel about it? How do they feel? At the end of the day, those two are going to come together as two men one way or another. I know Chris's brother Tony went on stage and said how Tony feel. But again, them Brooklyn kids, it's just like a Southside boy. Those are Brooklyn kids. What do y'all expect? That's why a lot of people got mad when on social media, black people was like, hey, y'all might want to stay out of this. Let the family handle this. This is like two cousins fighting at the barbecue. You know what I'm saying? They fight, and then what happened after they get done fighting? They drinking and playing spades on the same team.
Yeah, and speaking of that, like you said, Tony Rock was in Raleigh this weekend, and he had some things to say about what transpired.
Let's set some ground rules right now, y'all. Let's set some ground rules. If I say anything tonight, anybody got a fucking problem with? You got one motherfucking option what you can do about it. Absolutely nothing. Because if you think you're going to walk up on this stage, this ain't the motherfucking Oscars. And if you walk your ass up here, you ain't nominated for shit but these motherfucking hands. Oh, we on Pac the rest of the year, nigga. Every time you see me do a show, Pac. I didn't want to start the show like that. You gonna hit my motherfucking brother? Cause your bitch gave you a side eye? Oh, it's a lot of rock brothers. Y'all ain't know it's a lot of rock brothers. It's 10 of us, motherfucker. You about to see all the rock brothers. You gonna be like, I didn't even know that nigga was a rock brother. That nigga a rock brother? That's a rock brother? I ain't gonna start the show like that, but I just wanna let y'all know that shit ain't gonna ride. That shit ain't gonna ride, nigga. I don't got a lot of shit to lose, nigga.
Graphic language. We apologize. Hopefully there were no kids watching. But I just wanted to play that clip because you mentioned it.
Hey, bro, listen. I've worked with Tony a couple of times. I ain't never heard his Brooklyn accent come out that hard as I did watching him snap like that. Again, but it's his brother. He gonna stand up. That's his brother. Yeah. So just like any family member gonna stand up for him. But to say the only thing you nominated for is these hands, I was like, hey man, listen, I'm with you, bro. I get it. Because he's upset. And then the insult to injury, though, with what Tony said, we playing Pac every time I come out.
He said
like we're playing Pac every time, bro. You were just like, you're gonna dig it again. Will know, yo, you've been catching jokes before. You're going to catch them for a while. He knows it now.
Yeah.
He knows it now. But that red table talk going to be something when it drop. I'm telling y'all that Chris and Will at the red table, you think it ain't going to happen. With Jada and her head in the middle. I'm sorry, Miss Pinkett Smith. I didn't mean to say that. I'm going to keep your name. My apologies.
And then I don't understand the uproar from the black community. I didn't see it live, bro.
I did.
I was upstairs watching because I just took a nap.
Mm-hmm.
I was off the road, took a nap. Wife woke me up, said you have to watch this. Hits rewind. I watch it, and I'm like trying to figure out, like, yo, wait a minute. Is this a bit? Like, what's going on? And then finally, when I realized what had happened, she said, what are you thinking about? I said, man, I'm just sad, man. I said, I'm sad. I was like, I hate that this happened. Because at that moment, I knew, and she didn't understand what I was saying at the moment. I was like, they're going to find a way to take him down off the pedestal, dude.
Mm-hmm.
So when I start hearing about projects in the work, Bad Boys 4 being put on the shelf, I'm like, there it is. Like, forget all the other stuff. There it is, man.
But here's the thing, too. Again, this is Hollywood for you. This is doing damage control everywhere. And when I say that, all the studios that had ties to them, they know social media is a great invention, but a nightmare at the same time. Right. So they knew they finna catch all these people just randomly from social media going, how you gonna work with him? How you gonna work with him? Right. So this is what happens. Okay, we're gonna put this on the shelf. We're gonna pause this. We're not gonna work with this. We're not gonna do this. All that sits now for a second. But I'm gonna tell you how I know Will Smith is gonna keep working. There's one name I'm gonna give you. Mel Gibson. Will Smith will sit back a year, 2 years. Again, he can sit a year, 2 years. It's all good. Now, the only problem with Bad Boys 4 is you got to make sure Martin stay healthy enough. I mean, he's getting older and things like that. But everything gonna pick back up with him, because if Mel Gibson can have a career still, Will Smith can too. And then people were like, oh, well, Mel Gibson didn't hit nobody. Yeah, but he went on one of the most hateful, vitriolic, racist tirades you've ever heard. And especially about Jewish people in Hollywood, which had always been said this thing, like, yo, you know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, Kareem made that article too about how this embarrassed the black community. And I'm tired of people. Look, Kareem has gotten to this point now where we all respect who he is as a legend. Yeah. And a lot of work he has done, a lot of the pieces he has written. But people got to stop whenever something happens with black people putting everything on the black community. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you think about it, no other race does that.
Yeah.
When one white person does something, it's not the whole white community. One Hispanic person, Asian person, et cetera, et cetera. But when black people have an incident, it's the black community. And we shouldn't all bear the responsibility of what happens with another black person unless it's meant to definitely affect all of us. And it's not the case.
Does the word loyalty in Hollywood exist? Because I was shocked at the response to Tony Rock. It was simple for me. I'm like, oh, that's my brother. It is what it is. That's what we were told as kids. Like, something happened to our brother and sister, we were told, like, go back out there and fight.
Mm-hmm.
Go find them. And don't come back in here until, you saw the situation. So it wasn't a shock to me that he responded that way. But then when I saw a lot of people responding, talking about, man, that was shady. He wouldn't have, he got his shot on all of us from Will and Jada. So how is he going to talk about Will like that? And I'm like, wait a minute. Hold on. Like, loyalty and that sense of loyalty is out the window. Like,
that's your brother. That's fam. That's blood.
Right.
That is blood. People forget where loyalty. Yeah. Oh, we co-workers, we friends, we buddies.
Right.
But that's my brother.
Right.
My blood brother. That stands more than anything else.
That's it. And so I was shocked, man. And I'm thinking to myself, how do you define loyalty in LA?
Hey, man.
How do you just, because I know you work with a lot of people. You might be on set. While you're on set, you have conversations, you hang out with people. But when you leave that, are some people of the mind that now that's my boy, that's my friend, or do the lines get crossed? Like, where does loyalty stop and where does it begin in an industry such as yours?
Well, this industry is very shady, for like, just to say what it is, right? I'm gonna just keep it a buck. But this is one thing I've always tried to make known, and I always am grateful for my city for making me this person.
Yeah.
You gonna know if I rock with you, plain and simple. There is not gonna be any, oh, he was rocking with me, then he didn't. Nah, you gonna know. If I rock with you, I rock with you. I let you know that. If I don't rock with you, I let you know. We don't want to have many misunderstandings out here. And then some people be like, well, Jay, can't that be detrimental to your career? If me being honest about who I am and who I want to associate with is detrimental to my career, then I don't need those people involved in my career. I don't need that. You know, people keep going this loyalty thing. Oh, what? Look, the only people you know who I'm loyal to? I'm loyal to 3 people: God Almighty, Jalen Washington, and Jalea Washington. And those are my kids. Those are the most people I'm loyal to at the end, at the overall arch at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? But my friends who know you're my friends, I'm not just going to say you're a friend because we hung out. You're an associate. You're an associate. I'm associated with you. Shaun, you're a friend. We've been rocking with each other for years.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Malik, you the homie.
Yeah.
Everybody rock. You know what I'm saying? But people forget that part. And so this business, everybody want to say, that's a friend, that's a friend, that's a friend. No, it's not. No, it's not. You got to learn to disassociate that word from associate, you know, the word friend from associate, because people say, yo, that's my friend. That's my friend. They're not your friend. They're not. If a person ain't going to speak up for you or speak out on your behalf when you're not around, that's not your friend. That's an associate. You just met that person. You know that person. I've associated with a lot of people in Hollywood, a lot of people in a lot of various facets of this entertainment industry. Are they all my friends? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But do I have friends I'm associated with that I talk to on a regular, that I know personal stuff about their life? They know personal stuff about my life. Because that's when it also becomes a friend. You know what I'm saying? If all we can talk about is industry stuff and stuff in the careers, that ain't a friend. You're an associate. You know what I'm saying? You're a co-worker. But if I can talk to you about my life when I'm going through really behind the scenes, you talk to me about yours, and we talk about family stuff and just have regular conversations about the world, then you can become that friend. But again, Tony Rock, forget friend, associate. That's his brother. That is his brother, first and foremost, over everything else.
So I want to transition to wrestling because we have a couple of questions from our listeners about wrestling. So I want to make sure you get a chance to answer those.
Mm-hmm.
We wrap this up. When you think about big picture, where you've come from, like, just to share a little bit of the story, like, I'm blessed to be a part of a friendship, like you said, that we have going back years, but I'm also blessed to be a part of one of the moments that really got you to go ahead and take that step and move to LA.
Mm-hmm.
And coming from that day, that moment when we were together and seeing where you are now, like, could you even imagine? And it's been ups and downs, bro. We've had conversations of things that have happened when you've been out there. And you sharing with me and pouring out to me like what you're dealing with. How do you encapsulate where you are now, knowing where you came from? And then what do you see happening over the next 2 to 3 years for you?
Man, I had to catch myself because I almost had the tear moment, like the old commercial, the one tear trickling, because just to summarize it all, I'm blessed. I'm blessed. I've been homeless, almost died in 2018. I've struggled and scratched everything, and I never gave up. There were many times I could have just said, yo, I'm done with all this, packed everything up and headed back to the crib. But there was something in me that kept me going and kept me driving. And it's not just doing stuff with my kids, but to know that there's a greater purpose. In 2 to 3 years, you're going to see this dude here has his own TV show or is a series regular on a show, in a bunch of movies, has, a whole bunch of things. I've claimed it and have prayed over it. That's what's going to happen, because I didn't come out here for less. You know, I didn't come. One of the things I always tell people, I didn't come out here just to kick it. So a lot of people always ask me, Jay, why you haven't done this and do that? I came out here to work. I came out here with a goal. And I've you know, there've been hurdles, there've been setbacks, but those setbacks, I always use them to move forward because those are my reminders consistently. Any day I'm sitting around here just like, man, I ain't doing nothing. Like I told you earlier, look at my IMDb page and I'm like, yo, you are doing a lot. You're doing a lot than most people. You know, there is perception. You know, perception is reality, especially when it comes in the entertainment industry. But I know who I am and what I've done and where I'm going and the path that I'm on. And so, you know, again, to be back in the wrestling business, I'd let it go. And now to get back in, and honestly, I'm in the best shape of my life. You know, I'm in the gym 5-6 days a week. I'm in the ring doing stuff I couldn't do. And I'm still building this following. And people like, yo, he is multifaceted. He is this dude that has talent on so many different levels. How does he have that? Because I'm a product of a blessing from the man above. And so in 2 to 3 years, I'm just going to continue to walk on that path. I'm going to continue to be a recipient of those blessings and continue to be grateful, continue to give thanks and praise. So like I said, in 3 years, you're hearing about a dude who was like, yo, he said all this was going to come to fruition, and it did.
Yo, I touch and agree with you on that, bro. Lefty Podcast, special guest Jay Washington. Let's go ahead and transition. You said you were watching WrestleMania. It was a 2-day event. That's what I'm tripping on.
Oh, like, no, it's 2 days. Bro, it's 2 days from here on out. It's 2 days. They said it. They said it. It's 2 days. Because think it was the last year that they did before they went to 2 days. WrestleMania was 8 hours, and people were exhausted. That was the year Kofi Kingston won. Right. It was 8 hours. 8 hours. No one wants to sit up in the crowd or in front of your TV for 8 hours. And I saw somebody in one of the wrestling groups I'm in was like, well, people binge watch shows all the time. Yeah. But guess what I can do? Grab my remote, hit pause, come back to it later.
Right.
I can refurbish and re-energize myself. WrestleMania's got to be 2 days. And again, you know, Vince McMahon has made a multi-billion-dollar conglomerate. He is sports entertainment, and he knows what that word means. And people keep trying to get mad at him because sometimes they focus more on the entertainment. He's told you that's what it is. Yeah, wrestling is here. We got wrestling. We cool. We got wrestling, right? We got it. But I'm going to give you the entertainment value, and you're going to enjoy it. And I'm going to tell you something. He for sure delivered on it this weekend.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Here's a question from one of our listeners. Irish AJ, we thank you. For U.S. wrestling fans out here, favorite wrestler growing up and dream match, old school and new school.
My favorite wrestler growing up was always The Undertaker. There was something about that man, the way he moved. I remember seeing him live at SummerSlam 94 at the United Center. They were the inaugural event. It was something about that man, and it's just the way he works. So when I watched him get inducted to the Hall, it was cool. When I found out what he stands for behind the man, I was like, of course he does. He's from Texas. Of course he's that dude. And so, but my dream match, old school, is ECW's Rhino. New school, I really want to test my worth. Give me Keith Lee.
Okay. Give
me Keith Lee. I know Keith's taller than me. Give me Keith. I want to show people how to, again, Big E said it best when he wanted his match with Goldberg. 2 big sweaty men's bumping meat. Let me get it. He was there. Let me get it. Give me Keith Lee because I know it's going to be 2 hard-hitting dudes putting on a show.
So what did you think about Steve Austin coming back? And, the injury to Roman Reigns was crazy. I saw the steel shots, and I'm like,
he's about to relinquish those belts. Yeah. Because that's a torn tricep. Yeah. Look, Brock got in that moment. Hey, somebody tell, hey, Brock, hey, this ain't the UFC, bro. Let that man go. Because when Roman said it popped. If you watch the match again, watch the ref. The ref gets on his earpiece, and he's telling them, he is hurt. And so they call it. Roman was going over regardless. He was winning the belt. Right. But the match was supposed to go another 5 to 10 minutes. They were supposed to keep going.
Right.
But Roman was hurt. They was like, that was it. You can't do, because if you torn, look, we've seen Triple H wrestle through a torn pec. Cena's done it. Rock wrestled through a torn abductor muscle, all these different things. And you're pushing through, but it's painful. And so he knew that they knew that match with them two was going to be hard hitting, and he was probably going to catch at least 10 more German suplexes. So you don't want to have him keep getting thrown on that torn tricep.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, hey, whoo, it's sad because it's like he is hitting his stride.
Yeah.
This is his stride. He just hit it. And at the moment where he was finna hit his, like he said, I'm in God mode. And he was about to go heavily, and now he tears his tricep.
Yeah. Our guy, Eugene Williams, said that's tough. He appreciates you picking Keith Lee.
Hey man,
Yeah,
give me Keith. Give me Keith.
What changes for you when it's a focus on entertainment when you're doing a competitive sport? And what some people would still think wrestling is very competitive. I always thought it was real, but you definitely giving it action. But when there's a high focus of entertainment, how much of the competitiveness do you have to lower, if any, or is it still competitive? You just got to keep that entertainment in focus.
It's still competitive, but one thing you have to remember and you place even more focus on is, so if it's a one-on-one match, it's 3 people in the ring, the 2 wrestlers and the ref. That's what people see. But the 4th person is in this match too that people forget. The 4th person is the crowd. The crowd will dictate how this match should go. If you ever pay attention to certain matches back in the day, like I'll even go Brock and Roman years ago at WrestleMania. Roman was supposed to be the face and Brock the heel, but the crowd reaction made them switch roles.
Right.
So Roman became the heel, Brock became the face. And if you remember, Brock won and the crowd went crazy.
Crazy, right.
So when it comes to sports entertainment, the crowd is a big part of this. And you have to remember that you're entertaining this crowd. And especially when it comes to television, you now have to entertain people through a camera. So yes, the competitive nature is there. Again, you got guys who go balls to the wall, all these magnificent, crazy high spots and sorts, whatnot. And sometimes it loses the sports entertainment value because it's just the guys working and you take the fans out of it. But Vince McMahon understands when he started labeling them the WWE Universe, you are as much a part of the show as every single guy and girl in the back. And so you have that happen. The crowd is always involved in these matches.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Yo, man, look, for me, I'm going to be honest. I checked out after the Triple H, like Rock Triple H, once they hit their peak, Stone Cold, that's when I kind of start falling off. Because I start at like the Von Erichs, all the way back, Iceman King Parsons.
Yeah.
That's my foundation coming all the way up through Hulk Hogan, Andre the Giant. And then it was like, life just took over. Did start a family, just didn't have the time. But like, what has wrestling learned today that they didn't know 15, 20 years ago? Specifically when you talk about guys like Tony Khan or Vince McMahon. What is wrestling and the guys that run it? What have they learned today that they didn't know 15, 20 years ago?
There's a bigger fan base than it seems. There's a much bigger fan.
Yeah.
Wrestling for years seemed to be this niche thing. You're a wrestling fan. Okay. It just seemed niche, right? But you start to realize, people are going viral through social media from this. And now more people are watching and more people are listening. The wrestlers have way more influence. Yeah, you had those stars, the Austins, the Rocks, the Hogans. You had stars.
Yeah.
But now you have wrestlers with influence who aren't these superstars. When you think about it, you got a lot of wrestlers the average person would never even know of, but they've got this reach.
So basically, are you saying there's a lot of max contracts out there in wrestling?
Hell no.
No, because what I'm saying is like,
is it more decentralized because of the social the currency that some guys have a big fan base, even if they may not be a star in the sport?
That's a good point.
It's like an NFT. Like these wrestlers are more NFT.
Yeah, you know what? The thing becomes, you have a promoter and a Vince McMahon who has a team around him who understands this person is making money already. You can make money with them and help them make more money. Because again, the WWE is a business. It's not even a wrestling show. It's a TV show centered around wrestling. Tony Khan is a wrestling fan. He's what we call a wrestling mark. He just happens to have money to do what he want to do. And so he can just, I want to just watch wrestling. If you notice, AEW, as much as he talks about it, they don't do house shows, which is fine, but they're only localized to certain parts of the United States. They haven't had that overseas trip yet. They don't have these type of, deals just in place. Vince McMahon, though, the mobs, when COVID officially dies, whatever that's going to happen, but the European tours are starting to kick back in.
Yeah.
That's where they make their money overseas, the European tours, Saudi Arabia, all that stuff. He understands the value in what this product is. And this product that is the WWE, that is World Wrestling Entertainment, I always compare it to SNL. It will have those peaks, and then it'll have those moments you're like, oh, it's done. And then what happens? It blows back up. So many people for the past year and a half was like, oh, Vince McMahon finna sell the company. They finna sell the company. They're getting rid of all these people. And then they just put on all these amazing events and everything happens. So what are you talking about selling? They know what they're doing.
Well, it's interesting that you say that, man. I don't know if people know this before we let you go.
Mm-hmm.
I read an article this weekend, and it was amazing because I had no clue. And then I happened to watch an interview on the Breakfast Club with Omar Epps and Charles Miller. And they were talking about, I never knew this. He said, there was a federal law passed because the studios owned the theaters.
Mm-hmm.
And the federal law deemed it to be a monopoly and said the studios couldn't own theaters. And from the time that happened, they always were looking for a way to once again own the theaters. Enter these streaming apps,
mm-hmm.
right? So now, essentially, they own the theaters again, because now you're sitting at home watching
mm-hmm.
releases of movies and content, and you're paying $6.99 a month.
Yep.
To go watch what they couldn't produce on their lots. And I said, yo, that's crazy. What is the next wave in Hollywood? Like, we got the streaming apps. Everybody's watching movies from homes. We're watching theaters close. It's being blamed on COVID, but this has been in the works.
Bro, COVID sped everything up.
This
COVID sped up the release of Day and Day of in the theater, and you can watch at home. That was in the works for years. COVID sped it up. And I tell everybody this: it took one movie to show them that this can work. Trolls Worldwide made $300 million from people at home. And once that one movie made $300 million, they were like, oh, this will work. And so supposedly they are trying to make NFTs more than just being a little picture, right?
Yeah.
So now you're going to start getting movies as NFTs pretty soon. You're going to get movies and TV shows as NFTs. And again, it's good, that trend will slowly happen. Now, whether it picks up steam and moves forward, we don't know.
Yeah.
But right now, we as the consumer, we messed ourselves up. We screwed ourselves over. And here's what I mean. Let's go back 2016, 2017. What was the biggest thing everybody kept talking about doing? I'm cutting the cord from cable. Okay. Cool. So now you're going to have these streaming apps. So at first it's just Netflix, Hulu, Amazon, right? You might get an HBO. You might get a Showtime. You might get those little things. But then Disney Plus comes. And now these other apps start happening where they're making exclusive content where the only way you can see it is by getting this certain app or this certain streaming service. So now when you add up all these streaming services you get together, plus your internet, you're paying more than what you have with cable.
Yep.
So we put ourselves in this situation in a sense as consumers. But streaming is this way. NFTs may be the thing. I'm not 100% sure.
It's crazy because Notre Dame fans, I think it's 2 games this season, and the blue and gold game are strictly on Peacock.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have that subscription, you won't be able to see it. And people were scrambling last year when they introduced that for the Toledo game. It was like, oh my God. Like, I have to
Bro, Major
up.
League Baseball got the deal with Apple TV.
Yeah, yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So this is, again, the broadcast television is going to be for certain things, but we're moving away from it. We're showing, oh, I can watch everything here. I can watch any and everything here on the go. I'm not forced to sit at home and do it.
Right. All right, fans, you know what time it is.
Petticoat. Petticoat Junction.
It's time to get petty.
Oh, we did a good job executing.
Are you upset with something?
And fire up the Petticoat Junction train.
I just don't like you.
You don't?
No.
What is today's petty history? Petty Junction.
Yo, Petty Junction, Petty Stories of the Day, each and every day right here, Lefty Podcast. I want to start out congratulating Don Staley being the first African-American coach in the history of college basketball to win multiple championships. And she did it in style, rocking that $4,000 Louis Vuitton jacket. Like, if you're going to do it,
do it big.
Do it. And I love Don Staley for doing it. It was super petty. Super petty. I'm glad she got to do it against Gino Auriemma, who I can't stand. I can't stand women's basketball, just like I can't stand Duke men's basketball. I'm glad North Carolina were petty and sent Coach K.
Yeah, that is the most beautiful. That is the most beautiful petty thing in the world, dog. Because everybody was like, "Oh, Coach K gonna have this beautiful Cinderella season. He gonna go out his last season. He's gonna be the one to cut the net." And then North Carolina was like, "Nah."
Coach Herbert didn't want to shake his hand either. He didn't want to shake it. He was like, I guess I got to give you one, man. I
guess so.
And that cat Hubert hit him with the, all right, nice game.
Yeah, hit him with
like, no congratulations for like his career or anything.
He thought Coach K thought he was gonna stop. He was like, nah.
Good game, man. All right, keep it moving.
And shout out to Caleb Love. I don't know if you guys read this story. Caleb Love, who was the star of the second half, he scored 26 points in the second half against Duke to lead North Carolina to the comeback victory. And it was crazy because he was coached by Jason Tatum's dad in high school. Duke was his dream school, and Duke actually chose the point guard Roach over him. This is a true story. Because, you know, Jason,
dream school.
They bypassed on him for their point guard, who's like 6 feet. And then Love goes to North Carolina. And there you have it. He snatches the dreams of Coach K, all because Coach K didn't want to give him a scholarship. It's beautiful.
Hey, man, sometimes people, let me tell you something. Look, we know about this as Bears fans. That game when Patrick Mahomes came into Soldier Field, and you were like, well, we're going to deserve all of this.
He counted it up.
He counted it all up. We was like, yeah, we're going to deserve all this that's about to happen. I think every Bears fan knew. We was like, well, this is going to be embarrassing.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah,
right.
That's right. Malik, petty for you.
Oh man, I've always had some petty stuff going on, but I do think that the one petty thing I saw was Shannon Sharp going at Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
He went hard. He went at him hard today. He went
hard. He said, "Don't backtrack on what you're saying," because he was catching that heat. Because I think he's a little jealous, just a little bit, that Brown about to become the greatest scorer of all time. And it's hard, when
I'm glad you said that correctly.
40 years.
I'm glad you said that correctly. The greatest scorer.
Oh my!
I thought you were gonna slip up for a second.
Let me sip my kombucha real quick. Hold on.
Yeah, right. We talking about the greatest scorer that didn't want to be a scorer. So what do you call that? That's the greatest of all time, right there.
Yeah, here we go. That man is built the way he is.
Like he's about to lead the league in scoring. And he's 16 under 500.
Oh my God!
That
Here
man
we go.
finna score. That man scored 50 points a game and about to be bounced out the playoffs. So
That's okay. That's okay. That's okay. Hey, Michael
Can't
Jordan
even get to-
he was the greatest of all time.
can't even get to the play-in games. They gave it. They made a thing so he could have a chance to get in. He
No, that
can't
was
even get
for
to the
Kevin Durant.
play-in.
That was for Kevin Durant. That's why they got into that another 10 spot.
They don't look like they need it, but the Lakers do.
And I want to throw in I hate to do it, hometown dude, concerning what took place with Will Smith. I got to throw Corey Holcomb on the petty train. Yo.
Yeah.
I wanted to play the clip, but I couldn't.
You can't play that clip, bro.
2X rated.
Play the clip on our podcast. I just couldn't. Corey Holcomb's take on everything that happened is the most treacherous,
vile,
dude, whatever adjective you can use. But I would recommend that everybody go watch it. I would absolutely go recommend. If you want to laugh, go watch the first 20 minutes because it's gold. It's absolutely gold. And it took somebody from Chicago to speak the absolute truth about the situation.
Man, let me tell you something. I knew Corey was going to go hard on the subject, and I said it on Twitter to you. I said I knew he was going to go hard, but when you start hearing what he got to say, you like, oh my God. You like, stop, because he was just going. And you just like, well, I don't know. We know Will Smith ain't running up on Corey.
Absolutely not.
And it made me feel like that a lot of people feel this way, and they really have held their tongue because of their love and appreciation for Will. It's almost like cats really rock with Will, and out of respect for Will, we're going to keep our mouths closed about your girl.
Yeah, again, I think the problem is too, because here's like all the Tupac jokes going to keep coming out. All the questions about how do you feel about Tupac, and it's like, hey, bro, y'all got to stop asking this man. We talk about Kanye West's mental health. We're going to have to check on Will Smith in a minute. Like I understand the man's already in therapy, but he's going to have to be on the double level of therapy. But, hey, yo, like some people was like, yo, Will's my man. I'm not going to say nothing. Like, I'm trying not to. Now, God, if they get divorced, all bets are off. They get divorced, all bets are off, and people gonna let Jada have it so bad.
Because he is the one holding back all the jokes.
He's the one. Unfortunately, it's not the respect to Jada, it's the respect to Will.
Yeah. So just speaking about Kanye, he is officially off of the Coachella bill. He will not be performing at
Speaking
Coachella.
of petty, he's the reason why, again, you know why he's off, right?
Yeah.
That is pet. My man said if Billie Eilish don't apologize to Travis Scott, I'm not performing. And then she was like, I'm not. He was like, well, I'm done. Yo, people bought tickets to see you, fam. They bought the Coachella tickets for you.
You, exactly. Yo, and on top of that, you didn't see this last night, but this might have been disaster avoided. So I think the award was Collaboration of the Year Pop. And the collaboration with Doja Cat and SZA won.
I heard about that. Doja had went to the bathroom.
Doja had gone to the bathroom, bruh. So SZA is on crutches. SZA had to limp up to the stage to accept the award and begin talking, only for Doja to run up on stage coming back from the bathroom and had not gotten herself together. So she's facing the camera and it's a little bit of camel sticking out because she had the split dress on.
Oh, here go to Twitter real quick.
She had to turn around and fix herself right quick.
Let's see.
And I'm
Doja Cat. All right, look at God.
She gave a new meaning to Doja Cat. You know what I'm saying?
All right now. Okay. All right. Okay.
I was like, yo, this is a crazy moment. I don't think the Grammys will ever have a moment like this.
Mm-hmm.
But then she gave a really heartfelt speech and almost cried.
She's coming. See, like, remember, she caught a lot. Because remember, everybody, she was on they were the whole she's anti-black thing and everything of the sorts. And I didn't realize how long she'd been around.
Yeah.
Like, we just, like, over the past several years have put her in the mainstream. But Doja Cat been out in these streets for a while.
Yeah. She's been putting in work. She absolutely been putting in work. Salute to her. Salute to all the winners.
Well, I mean, you talking about winners. The pettiest thing I thought was the group called Soulja winning the best reggae album as an all white group.
That was kind of
that was pretty petty. Yeah. Ain't
and
nobody else. You can win her own award.
The best rap album continues not to be aired.
And then wonder why they catch all the scrutiny for
it. Yes.
That's the problem. Like, the Grammys sit there and do things. It's like, yo, y'all been catching, y'all gonna continue to catch it. Tyler, the Creator, the year Igor won. He was like, bro, I didn't even rap on this. He's like, I'm happy for it, but I didn't rap. Okay. We'll never forget. Look, I just was telling my homeboy earlier. I said the Grammy, we will never live down Macklemore beating out Kendrick for rap album of the year.
Yes, never.
You'll never live that down. Never.
Like, there's no gift they can give us that's going to cause us to come back.
Nope.
No, there's no olive branch. It doesn't.
There's no such thing. It doesn't exist.
No. Lefty Podcast. Let everybody know where they can follow you once again, bro, and then let them know. Especially, we have a lot of fans and followers out there in LA, so let them know what you're going to be doing over the next couple of weeks and where they can watch you.
Absolutely, man. Y'all can find me on Twitter and Instagram, TikTok, whatever, at Mr. J Washington, MRJAY. You should know how to spell Washington. Check out Blurs in the Hood every Tuesday and Thursday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 Eastern. It's me and my homeboy, Winston A. Marshall. We talk about the world of pop culture, news, sports, entertainment, nerd stuff, and a whole lot more from a Blurs perspective, and we are unapologetically black. I've got the Mad Titan podcast everywhere. I get you caught up on all the things happening in the Marvel and DC live-action cinematic universes. It's Barbershop Talk for Nerds. I'm wrestling this Saturday for 3PWA in Buena Park, California. I will have the info on my Instagram, and we're doing a live Blurs in the Hood with the audience Juneteenth weekend, Saturday, June 18th at the Bourbon Room in Los Angeles. Tickets are available, shptickets.com, shptickets.com.
What are you looking more forward to? The next Doctor Strange or the next Thor?
Hey, man, why would you do these things?
I'm making you pick, bro.
I'm going to tell you, honestly, Doctor Strange. You know why? Okay. It's a horror movie. It's the first Marvel movie that's a horror movie. So I'm here for it. Like, Thor going to be crazy. I remember Thor Ragnarok, what it was. So I'm like, I already know what to expect. I'm excited for it. Don't get me wrong. But the horror movie element of what Doctor Strange into the Multiverse of Madness is going to be, bro. Ooh.
There you have it. Jay Washington, once again, we appreciate you for joining us today on the Lucky Lefty Podcast. We'll be back tomorrow. Special guest, Julio Cuts, the guy that keeps all the coaches and players at Notre Dame super duper fresh. We're going to give him a little hell because he cut up Georgia before they won the national championship. And we're hoping he's bringing some of that same vibe back to South Bend and giving us national championship cuts this year. We'll talk to him tomorrow. Matter of fact, fresh off a cut because he's cutting up Marcus Freeman. So we're pushing the time back. So we'll be joining him, or he'll be joining us right after he cuts Marcus Freeman tomorrow. We'll have him on the Lucky Lefty Podcast. For my guy, the original Lucky Lefty, Malik Zaire. Don't forget, follow us on all social media at Lucky Lefty Pod. And then go to Apple Podcasts, A2S Network. For Jay Washington, Malik Zaire, I'm Shaun Davis. As always, spin it different. We'll see you tomorrow for another episode.